The next speaker that we have here would be our uncle, Mr. Malick Jones. Obviously, I will not do justice if I fail to read part of his biography. He did not also write much because whenever you watch GRTS or any other activity that Mr. Jones is active on, you will know that definitely this figure or father figure of this country, or somebody who has played always, who has been playing a part in Gambian literature, not only that, in communication and other advocacies, to see that this nation progresses. When he came here earlier, he obviously realized that the Gambians are always short in time. And being somebody who respects that particular protocol of time and knowing how time obviously means money, of course working with the communication unit. But Mr. Malick Jones obviously was enrolled into the GRTS according to the review in 1980. Then I was not born, you understand. So when I want to talk about more on his particular accolade, Mr. Malick Jones, of course, is a household name in this particular country. Everybody knows him, not only in this country, but the outside world. He is well recognized. He served as the first commentator in the FIFA World Cup. That, of course, the GRTS had a hand or had, a combination with BBC, and everybody who watches or who watched the then 2010 World Cup, FIFA World Cup, would hear his commentary. He served as the first Gambian commentator in a World Cup series. Mr. Malick Jones is a seasoned journalist and also former permanent secretary, of course, in Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. Yeah, I wouldn't exhaust all about Mr. Jones, but just to say that we are happy to invite you here, and then he is talking on the topic that is literary landscape and then motivational speech of Gambian literature. Literary landscape, that is literature of the Gambia, the landscape of literature of Gambia, and then motivational speech. Mr. Malick Jones, thank you very much, and then welcome to the podium.
That's very good, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's either the face or the voice, but I guess it's the voice and not the face. Actually, good afternoon to the high table, parents of Fatu Minky Bayo, and ladies and gentlemen who are converged here this afternoon. Actually, I like to criticize, especially when it comes to the literary world that we live in. And when she told me that I should be a guest speaker here, I said, okay, because I invite them to my program, because I like to promote literary works. Not only her, but Safiatu, Ajay Amosaf, and anybody who writes, because I myself am a hidden writer. We have a problem in the Gambia, before I delve into my topic. And I do a lot of master ceremonies because I'm in love with the microphone, and the microphone loves me so much. So when I talk on the microphone, I'm complimented. When somebody who's not in love with the microphone, when you talk, I can detect how the microphone hates you. But for me, it loves me. In the hotel industry, we have our own time there. We call it Gambia Maybe Time. It will happen at 8 o'clock, or 8:30, or 10:30, or 11 o'clock, or 12 o'clock. It's never certain. It's never prompt. We'll be there at 2 p.m. They start coming at 2:30. Some will come at 3 o'clock, and some will come at 4 o'clock. This, I will implore on writers to take it upon themselves and write about the Gambia Maybe Time. Because time is money and time is everything. I told her I will not take my lunch. I'll be there at 2. And at sharp 2 o'clock, I walked inside here. And I sat down. You know what I did? I wrote this poem. Most of my works are just personal to me. For the first time, I released a spontaneous poem that I wrote based on the circumstances that prevailed within this hall. The sellotape screeched as the young man repositions the backdrop. Dinky read it a smile. A book threatening to leave before being eaten up. It was a lunch, not a midday meal. Can you see that? It was a lunch, but not a midday meal. Lunching. Lunching. Launching a book, LAU. As the author of the backdrop aroused my critical judgment, the one who wrote that backdrop aroused my critical judgment. The pink balloons remain my silent witness. The balloons are silent. They see the mistake. Book launching. The blades of the motionless helicopter kept churning the fans. Not to fly us away, but to cool the cabin. I am seeing this room as a helicopter. We are in the cabin of the helicopter, and the blades of the fan are the blades of the helicopter. We will not fly away. Then the speakers blared the sound of the modern Afro-Manding. When they first played the music, it was the sound of one of these boys, these Manding voice rappers. Imam calls on Allah, and we are blessed. It's my husband's people by Binki Fatuma Bai. Do you catch this poem? Thank you very much. Now tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take a panoramic view of the literary crusade in the Gambia. When I come to the women's part, it would have been encapsulated in the statement or the discourse of Madame Juka Jabang, who spoke about Gambian women in literature. The pioneers of written word in Gambia, referred to as literature, should first and foremost be attributed to people engaged in journalism. And to this we owe the early literary works to people like Edward Francis Small, who in 1922 founded the Gambia Outlook and the Senegambia Reporter, and later the Gambia Echo. Other journalists included Finding Daly, M.B. Jones, who published the Gambia Onward, James Senegal, and Bad Traore, to name a few. However, historians cited the work of a Gambian slave woman. It was noted by Fatoumata Juka Jabang, whose name was Phyllis Whitley. Phyllis Whitley was a slave woman who wrote a poem or a series of poems reflecting her nostalgia for the landscape of the Gambia. Gambian literature, ladies and gentlemen, consists of the oral and written literary tradition of the people of the Gambia. Oral literature, including traditional griots and various forms of literary ritual poetry, has historically been predominant type of cultural transmission in line with wider Senegambia. We all have what we call rites of passage, be it Wolof, be it Fula, be it Mandinka, is what we call circumcision. When the males go through circumcision, there is a lot of oral literature that takes place within there. In the Wolof, they have what we call normally the lil. In that lil, you will hear some oral literature which have given rise to music today and to some of our artists. For example, In most of the Mbala here, there's a portion in the Mbala that has what we call a tassel. Mbaye is one of them, of Senegal. Okay? But also, in the Lil, you'll hear in the Wolofs, they'll say, Taguna Mbar Njai, Tagatuba Mbar Njai, Siga Jerima Far. Are you with me? These are all literal words. This is oral literature. Another one I will say, Ndute Pang Kunabudwai Joko Yifam. You understand what that means? If you don't love me, give me back what I gave to you. Because as a boyfriend, you're supposed to give your girlfriend some money, some freebies, some tips, just to make that love relationship juicy and nice. But if the woman decides to leave you, the adage at the time says, if you do not love me, give back to me what I've given to you. So these are all words that have gone into the oral literature of the Senegambia region. I'll give you this one. They say, Kui joy, do not kui joy. Kui joy, do not kui joy. If you are crying, you cannot console somebody who's crying. So these were oral works that were used by the griots when education was a rarity in our areas. We move on. The production of the English language literature in the Gambia has been very limited when compared to other English-speaking West African countries. Well, this is premised on the fact that, unlike other English-speaking countries, the Gambia was fraught with the absence of high institutes of learning, such as colleges and universities. Most early writers, as we'll come to realize, studied abroad, especially in the United Kingdom, Ghana, or Sierra Leone. The Farabe College University was founded on the day we had independence. Can you imagine? 18 February. Well, not the same year, by the way, 1827. And it was the first to be built in sub-Saharan Africa and was one of the key centers of learning that produced many Gambian with degrees. Lack of sufficient number of readers, which is still prevalent. The Gambia continues to study, let me use the word, we continue to be people who do not like to read. Take for example, normally, when you open a newspaper, what most Gambians do, they just read the headlines. They do not read the story in detail. They just flip through the pages. And you know what that has done? We have a problem when it comes to talking in public. As he said, Nimko Wahe, in this our work, for us as broadcasters and masters of ceremony, reading is part of our life. Because we do not want to go there and stand out in the public and start searching for words. The words that we read that we do not know, we find their meanings and put them in our computerized system in our brain, so we do not hesitate to use a word. We will never be short of words. But many people, even at the top of academia, even at the very top of our civil service, people are clamoring for words. This is something I have witnessed over many a time. Even on television, as he said, what do you say? Not what he said, but what are you saying? So this is our tendency. And you will not be able to express yourself. This is not our language. It's a language that we learn when we go to school, up to tertiary education, up to when we get our PhDs. If it were Wolof, we would all speak it better than anybody else. If it was Pular, we'll do it. The same thing if we were Mandinka. But this is a language of the colonists that was imposed upon us. And if you want to speak in that language, for Christ's sake, you have to read that language, understand the language, memorize the words, and be able to use them. adequately and at the right places. Now we all have a problem. Let us move on and see. We said lack of sufficient number of readers with sufficient purchasing power, as well as publishing houses and literary critics in the Gambia, have impeded the development of Gambian literature. Meaning, how many people buy these kids their books? How many people walk into a bookstore and buy a book? Isn't it limited? How many people write on our newspapers and look at the work of somebody and do a critique on that book? Just like I came and I did a critique, notwithstanding, nothing wrong with that. If I was doing that backdrop, book launching, My Husband's People by Fatoumata Binki Bayo. The moment you walk in there, it's out there. The book launching of Fatoumata Binki Bayo, My Husband's People, in quotes. But that was a very bad way of selling your program, by the way. I beat her up when I see her. Landry Peters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is considered the founder of Gambian literature. Peters published his first work in 1960, including 2 poetry collections, and his only novel, The Second Round, is his first distinctly Gambian work. Another is his compilation titled Kachi Kali, a poetry collection published in 1971 after his return to the Gambia. Following his return, Peters remained an active writer and engaged with the social and political issues facing the Gambia in his writing. He also acted as a catalyst for increasing literary output in his homeland, founding the magazine called Ndanan, published by the Gambian Writers Club between 1971 and 1976. In 5 issues. However, the writer Tijan Sala defended the publication as a forum that encouraged creative writing because the book was, the Ndanan was criticized, except for the play by Gabriel John Roberts called A Coup is Planned. Most literary critics noted that there was not much intrinsically interesting in that magazine. However, the writer Tijan Sala defended the publication as a forum that encouraged creative writing by various Gambian writers, even if its content may have been a false start. Apart from Roberts, other writers to emerge include Ibu Driba, she mentioned Daya Foster, Fode Balde, who is a publisher. We'll talk about Fode Balde very shortly. Aliu Ibrahim Cham, Swaibu Konate, Tijan Sala, Nana Gray Johnson. Now, Nana will have to say something about Nana very shortly as well. I was Deputy Permanent Secretary to him when he was Minister. It is also important for also us to mention the women who put pen to paper that serve as an inspiration to the versatile young female writers we have now. These writers include, but not limited to, and as she mentioned, the forefront of the women writing here included Augusta Jawara. By the way, how many people know that Augusta Jawara was the lady that put Sir Dawda Jawara into politics in this country? Augusta Jawara entered politics before Sir Dawda, and she stood for Jollof Town in Banjul. She was an Aku woman. Actually, her name before marrying to Sir Dawda, she was Augusta Mahoney. She wrote The Rebellion in 1968 and The African King in 1966. Dr. Florence Mahoney, Stories of Senegambia, The Liberated Slaves and the Return to Africa. It's another writer, female writer. Jeanette Bajan Young, The Ultimate Inheritance, 2001. The Battle of Sankandi of 2001. That's a play which I acted. There is Maria McCann, who wrote Futatoro, Proverbs of Senegambia, and the filmmaker, she was also a filmmaker and wrote the films Sutura and Rape. Then we have the lady sitting out here with us, Fatoumata Juka Jabang. She wrote The Old Woman, Insomnia, and various Vicious Cycle, and many other works. Now, the generation of writers in the 1980s and 1990s consisted of Ibu Dibwa, Sherif Sar, Nana Kumasi. Now, Nana Kumasi and Nana Gray Johnson are the same person. You will find the works of Nana Kumasi separate and also the works of Nana Gray Johnson separate. Nana Gray Johnson wrote the Magic Calabash, which has been used by the students at the University of Gambia, and a rendezvous with the Creoles. Now, the same person is Nana Gray Johnson and Nana Kumasi. The 1990s saw another literary magazine in the form of Topic magazine. But let me fast track. In the 2000s, the writers who emerged include Cherno Bari, Asum Sise, Demba Ali Jawo, Baba Gale Jalo, Mamadou Sala, and Bara S.K. Saho, Aisha Jawara, Esa Ba. Yes, indeed, things have changed and have gone for the better. We owe gratitude to writer and publisher Fode Balde, who was immensely contributing to the publishing of literary works in the Gambia. The new generation of Gambian writers, nestled in the youth, have taken the pen with great enthusiasm, taking cue from their predecessors. Under the leadership of Modu Age Amosaf Sow, we can now boast of young writers like Adam Nyang, Famara Fofana, Al-Hassan Suso, Safiatu Juf, and Binki Bayo, who today we're launching our book, My Husband's People. I haven't read the book anyway, but My Husband's People must be a calamitous piece of writing. I know what it means if you have your in-laws and stuff like that. And I'm sure that will feature very, very much in the book. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, I was given 2 minutes more to say. What I wanted to say was to end up by just giving a very short resume on having a dream. I had a dream. In 1963, John F. Kennedy of the United States was murdered. My uncle, he was assassinated, by the way, to use the right word. My uncle was tuned to the Voice of America. And every 30 minutes, the announcer on the VOA will come and say, "This is the Voice of America, broadcasting from Washington." From that day on, I loved that voice. And I said to myself, one day, I am going to be like that person. When I finished high school here, I thought there was no chance for me to accomplish that. I went to Sierra Leone, and I went to do my A-levels. I came back home, I heard someone read the news in the evening. The next morning, I went to Radio Gambia, and I said to the director at the time, who was Marcel Tomasi, a friend of mine, I said to him, "I want to work here." He said, "Yes." I said, "Yes." "What do you mean?" I said, "I've heard." I was full of confidence, and of course the tenacity in me and the panache. I said, "I heard someone yesterday read the news. I think I can do better." That did not go well with him. I mean, he was someone. But then I just had confidence. He said to me, "Well, you have to go and write." I said, "Okay, fine. If you give me the chance to write, I will write." I wrote. I went to see my sister, who is very close to me. I went to Radio Gambia today, and I found one Marcel Tomasi, he's director of Radio Gambia. I told him I wanted to work there, but he wasn't very nice to me. He said, "Marcel is married to your cousin," because my mother is called Edna Riley. The late Abad Riley is brother to my sister's mother, and Marcel Tomasi's wife is my cousin. I said, "It doesn't matter. I've just written to them." On the 15th of March, 1980, I was appointed as a temporary English announcer, meaning I could fire in even 2 days if they don't like my face. But then, the dream was there, and I continued from temporary English announcer, assistant producer, senior producer, principal producer, deputy director general, deputy permanent secretary. In 2010, the BBC gave me a call. Come to South Africa and commentate. Quarterfinals, Germany against Argentina. I've never seen Messi in my life. And all those big names in football. I was to start the commentary. 500 million people were going to listen. And you know what happened? I cried. Here were a galaxy of stars I never thought I would see. And I was going to critique if they do wrong, if they play the ball badly, I was going to say they did that. When I cried, this white man next to me said to me, "What's wrong, Mr. Jones?" I said, "You don't know where I come from." You don't know where I come from. My country is a small country. And today, I'm going to do this. He said, "Don't worry. You know what you have, Mr. Jones? We English people, we are nasal when we talk. But you're guttural. You talk from your chest and from your voice." Alhamdulillah. Last year by this time, I was also in Qatar, my second World Cup. And this year, I'm here as your guest speaker. Congratulations. Next week, Saturday, we will review this day on my talk show. You're welcome. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.